saw and cut these to length, and of course, what would that determine? Time. Yeah, the timing. When is this thing going to blow up? It'd be loaded in the weapon with the fuse facing out. The muzzle flash would ignite this on the way out, and then with any luck, it'll detonate downrange. There are two basic ways of lighting these things. We will use a lens stock. The other common method in the time period was to use a port fire, which are really cool, but they're very dangerous. It's basically a road flare and a handle. You'd light that at the lens stock. This is spewing flame, and then you would touch off the charge at the back, which is handy for quick firing, but not really necessary when you're doing a few shots at a time. So certainly the impact of those explosives was devastating. One of the artillerists that was here said that he felt like those bombs, when they did hit in the fortifications, did much more damage than the round shot they were pounding away at. So small, but could be pretty impressive. Keep in mind, regardless of the sound here, was what happened down range that was important. Gentlemen?
How's everybody doing? We are World War II British paratroopers, and this is our 1938 3-inch mortar. The 3-inch mortar of the time fires 3 different rounds. The first round is an illumination round. These are gravity-fed bombs. They drop down, hit the pin on the bottom, launch out, and at the apex they erupt with a parachute with a glowing ball of chemicals under it, and the color of the chemicals indicated by the band on top. So this would be a yellow star. They have the silver stars, red, and the green. Use those for signaling or illuminating the battlefield. The impressive round was the high explosive round. Again, they're gravity fed. So the science of launching a mortar, a modern mortar, is a lot different than my predecessors. They use raw powder, push the round out the barrel. Ours is a little more scientific, so ooh and ah when we fire it, it's impressive. What happens is it's going to launch a 10-pound high explosive bomb anywhere from 200 yards out to 3,000 yards. 3,000 yards will put it all the way across the river at the Virginia Institute of Marine Science. If it lands on soft ground, not rocky soil or anything, but soft ground, it's going to leave a 6-foot deep hole by about 8-10 feet wide. So that is impressive as you're on the receiving end. During World War II, the British Airborne used a 3-inch mortar. They also used captured German 88s with high efficiency. Rommel actually hated them. The German army hated the mortarmen. When we get to Northern Europe and we're in Arnhem, 3 of these 3-inch mortars make it to the bridge on the Rhine River. 3 mortars are in place in the median at the base of the bridge, and they dominate the other side of the Rhine River. Mortarmen generally don't see the object that they're shooting at. They use a forward observer or radio call-in. Something's telling them where to shoot. In our case, it's going to be in a 3-story building right next to us. The guy's looking across the river. He is also yelling out the window, telling them where to shoot. Most of the war diaries from both sides talk about our return fire being more accurate than the Germans' incoming round. With mortars, they actually guesstimate the range when they walk the round to the target, whereas the British mortarmen were 1 to 2 rounds on target. They also talk about at Arnhem, watching the Germans load a gun or igniting a bomb on the other side, and our return fire hitting the ground, impacting the target at about the same time their first round is landing. So those three mortar teams were ready. They were going full tilt. Also, the rate of fire is 5 rounds per minute under normal conditions. At Operation Market Garden, there's a mortar crew that is on camera. They're in a pit firing. They actually have the mortar tube adjusted outside of tolerance. They're firing what we call danger close right now. And they're dropping bombs on Germans that are in their immediate vicinity. And the rate of fire is shown on that video clip of being 15 to 16 rounds per minute. So 3 guys are just hammering away at the bombs. All those guys in that mortar squad lived through the war. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Jamestown and their murder gun.
Hello folks, our mortar or murdering piece. This weapon is being shown for what you saw here at Jamestown, about 1607. It is the oldest of the pieces that we have out here today. Oldest weapons on the battlefield. We are a breech-loaded weapon using a chamber which will be inserted into the breech. The iron bar to lock it in place. This means we're getting 2, maybe 3 shots a minute with this weapon, with a well-trained gun crew. These weapons are very useful when placed in a defensive position, such as the fort walls or off the deck of a ship to help repel boarders that would be trying to get onto the vessels. So that is what these weapons would be doing. Our version is an iron swivel gun. They also had bronze guns in the same period. And that's a bit of the basics for the weaponry being used here at Jamestown. They did have larger weapons, more akin to what you find our friends down at the Civil War with a muzzle-loaded weapon, which would have longer ranges, but this was the best weapon for the period as an anti-personnel weapon. And it would help defend the colony and get the ship safely here to Jamestown. Like a lot of the other weapons we've talked about, this
Battery! Load!
mountain water!
Shell, 1,000 yards.
3 degrees right! Car! Vector car! 100 yards up! 1 round! HE! Hold!
Just either side here, because there could be some flash coming back from that because it's angled this way.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to get in your way.
Doesn't go all the way.
Advance the round.
Oh, you're used to loud noises?
Ready, no sight.
No, keep doing it.
Gun number 1 ready.
Battery! Take care to give running fire from left to right! Commence fire!
Norfolk Light, fire!
Fire! Fire! 2 degrees left! 20 yards up! 4 rounds HE! Rapid! Fire! Ceasefire.
Load, shell, 1,000 yards.
We're getting ready to do the big one. This is the big one. Cover your ears up.
Advance the round. Ready.
He's changing the elevation.
Norfolk Light, fire! Secure the piece.
We've got a soup over here with some catfish in there, some dried corn, dried beans, and some lamb's quarters. And lamb's quarters is a grain similar to quinoa, it's growing wild around here, as well as being grown in the gardens as a semi-domestic. And I've got some mulberries in there too, and those are dry. But we have had a lot of them fresh. Pretty common mixture for this time of year. We've also got these game birds that we roasted on the spit. That wouldn't be a very common thing because I have to watch that cook. Whereas that soup, it just kind of goes on its own.
It is cool.
Drive your car up to the boat, just ride across, and then you drive your car off to the other side.
Gee, that's gotta be a good one.
It is a big one.
Where does like pilot?
The number's 8. Can you imagine spending 2 months on that boat in the middle of the ocean? Ha ha ha!